Hello, everybody. Welcome to the saddest episode of the Buckeye Breakdown and Buckeye Breakdown, FTS, everything history. Owen Smith, Matthew Warner here. We don't want to be here, but we're here. Matt, how are you doing?
I'm good. As good as I can be. The Buckeyes are preparing for a Big Ten national or Big Ten championship game with Oregon. Is what I wanted to be saying for this episode, but instead we are here. Um, Buckeyes lose at home to a bad Michigan team, 4 in a row, 13-10. Yeah.
Yeah.
How are you doing?
I I don't know. I mean, I'm like we've referenced it so many times if you've listened, like I thought that there was no way that we would ever get to a point where we were as like low as we were coming off that bowl game, coming off the third loss in a row. No chance at a national title. Like the rival going and playing for a national title. Like I just thought you couldn't get worse than that. And then you grab J.J. Smith, you grab Caleb Downs, you make like a big off season push. You lose a heartbreaker to Oregon, but like it was a down to the last second. But you revamp things. You go and win on the road in Penn State. You destroy IU. Things are humming. Michigan is the lowest that they've ever been, or at least in my fandom, felt like the lowest that they've ever been. The worst team that we've ever faced in my years, and you just lose. I don't. This is like if I thought that was rock bottom, this is like way like thousands of feet deeper than I thought that what initial rock bottom was. Like this is,
Yeah.
I don't even know what to say or think about
I,
it, and it's been a long 2 or 3 days now since
yeah.
that loss.
I just can't get over the. I think the mindset was fine from the players. Like I didn't see a ton that I like. Hey, I mean, offensive line was obviously a mess, but from a game plan perspective, it genuinely felt like Ryan Day was trying to make like a statement of not only are we going to beat you, but we're going to beat you at the one thing you're really good at, and that's stopping the run straight up the gut. Like it just felt like they had this incredibly off idea of how they should try and win this game. Like I don't know how you watch a Texas or an Oregon dismantle that defense and think like we should go at this much differently with this
Yeah.
makeshift offensive line. And like there's a handful of plays that just stick out in my mind, but the two that I think are most frustrating is the 3rd and 12 draw, and then
Yeah.
the 3rd and 8 draw when we're on the other side of the field when we haven't run the ball all day. Like they haven't. Oh, I
Yeah.
don't
I mean, it was.
I don't get it. I just don't get it. I've been sitting and thinking about it for, like you said, 3 days now, and I still can't wrap my head around how we are having this conversation right now.
It's yeah. I mean, I think to boil it down, it comes down to one thing, and it is pure incompetence at the top. We can talk. We'll talk about Ryan Day and his future and what that looks like and how we feel here in a second. But like to allow that team to literally tell you how you're gonna play, like you let that team tell them
Yeah,
how you're gonna play, right? Like you played on their terms. Like you threw out everything that you had like been inching towards all year. Like and it wasn't working. Like what are we
and
doing?
and here's what like I think a misconception in this is that like I don't think Buckeye fans are like, hey, don't run the ball at all. That's not what we're asking. The runs were just these very vanilla, up the gut, into the mouth of their two best defenders, two potential first round draft picks, one who's going to be a top 10 pick. And like, it was almost like, well, it didn't work this time. Surely it'll work next. Surely it'll work next. Surely it'll work next. Like, you saw Judkins be able to get an explosive play in the run game when we ran a little bit of like the speed option, quick hitting, let him get out to the numbers, not on the short side of the field.
Yeah.
It was just frustrating. If you're Wink Martindale and Sherrone Moore, like you're sitting on the other side, and I would imagine probably midway through the second quarter, they were probably saying, "What the hell are they doing?"
Yeah,
like
100%.
Like, is this like do they have something up their sleeve? What's going on? Because the two drives that we really spread the ball out and threw that like worked really well. The opening drive that stalled out, but you still got,
3 points.
You still got 3 points up on the board. And then the drive before the half, where you go like just high, up tempo. Will Howard drives down the field, finds an open Jeremiah Smith. You put 7 on the board. And what was that? What was that drive start at? It's like 150.
Yeah. Yeah, I think.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
They scored in, I think, 1:10.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was within 2 minutes for sure. But yeah, either way, or it was within 2 minutes on game clock. And yeah, the drive was, I don't think they left much time after it. But dude, I don't know. I mean, I think I speak for everybody when I say it, and I've heard it. It's like I was more nervous at the halftime of IU game than I was at halftime of that game. Like, I just, because of how that half ended, I was like, okay, I'm confused still by like some of the play calling, but like they're adjusting. Like they realize that that's not going to work, and they're adjusting, and this is how we're going to go score. And then like they come out, and I'm like, what the? No, clearly not.
Back to it. Like it was just like, okay, we scored. We got it all square. Now let's go back to the play calling and the mindset that got us, essentially off the field 3 straight times after a field goal.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, there's a lot to be frustrated about. I sat and watched the defense. They give up 13 points, 10 of them being a Will Howard pick where they get the ball on the 2-yard line,
yeah.
And then another terrible field position flip where they drive it 3 yards and kick a 54-yarder.
Yeah.
Like I thought the defense did their job. I feel for a guy like Jack Sawyer who should have had an iconic play in the game history.
Yep.
Like you stand up on the 1-yard line, you get an interception. You're the guy that said, I want to come back and beat Michigan. You pick it off. You take it out an extra 15 yards. And then we go 3 and out.
Mm-hmm.
We go 3 and out. Carnell Tate drops a first down, which is fine. But then is that not the possession that we ran it on 3rd and 10?
I think it is, yeah.
3rd and 8, whatever it was.
Yeah. I mean, defense, of course, like you want to blame them a little bit for letting Mullings kind of get loose on that critical 3rd down stop where they clearly could have gotten him. But they had built up so much equity in that game and all of the things that they had done that they held up their end of the bargain, right? Like the defense, I would say overall, give it a grade B+, A-, right? Like they did, and you can, and maybe that's being harsh. Maybe that's putting too much weight into that 3rd down, the mess up there on the 3rd down. But the offense just did not hold up any other than that one drive, literally one drive, did not hold up any of their end of the bargain. And like, I would grade it as an F. And I don't know if that's, I wouldn't put that solely on the players. Like I think Will Howard, he's the quarterback. He certainly deserves some blame and decision making and execution. But I mean, it truly to me comes down to play calling, and that's Chip Kelly, that's Ryan Day. Did not hold up their end of the bargain. Were like clearly just mentally paralyzed in this game. Just like I just don't understand it at all. I truly don't understand it.
I don't either. It to me the game plan going into it felt like Ryan Day and Chip Kelly had a true freshman quarterback in his first start.
Yeah, it was like Lincoln Keenhol's a freaking quarterback during the damn.
That is what the game plan felt like in that, where it was like, okay, we really got to establish the run. Like if we don't get that going, we're not going to win this game. Where it's like you have Will Howard, who's been highly accurate. I understand he threw a pick early. Maybe that skews, and then there's the big hit that maybe that changed, but he scored after that.
Right. Yeah, that's right. The infamous drive was after that. So
yeah, so it doesn't make much sense. Let's talk about the coaching situation. You and I have had a ton of conversation about this individually. We've been talking with some other friends that are outside of the Ohio State kind of bubble. Where are you at with Ryan Day on, 3 days removed from this game?
I am extremely conflicted. I am trying my best to hold all judgment until I see what team rolls out December 20th or 21st, because I think clearly there is like extreme incompetence in the game, and like he just allows other people to dictate how he acts and how his staff acts, and that goes into the players sometimes too. I think it didn't this game out of the past 4 years. I think the other 3 years it definitely seeped into the team and how they went about it and how they made decisions. But he clearly has incompetence there. I don't know how you change that. Lucky for him, that doesn't, while it can get a lot of fire Ryan Day and F Ryan Day chants and all that stuff, it doesn't keep you from the ultimate goal, I feel like, which is the national championship.
Yeah.
And he, while yes, has had some other puzzling and interesting choices that have happened in big games, right? We've all been a critic. We've seen the graphic. It gets worse and worse. But there have been some strides made with Penn State, IU games, etc. And so I think that if he can mentally recover from this and get the team ready, and like they come out in a big either home or away game and go and compete for a national title, it's like I don't think you can get rid of that guy. Again, there has to be answers for the Michigan game. I don't know what that is. I don't think anybody does. I don't think you can get rid of that guy. I also think that it is extremely rare company to find somebody that is going to be able to change that. And I think that just makes it extremely difficult as well.
Yeah.
And I think that extremely rare company, at least right now, prior to, I'll say this, there's only 1 or 2 or 3 people maybe that I would trust to come take over the program, even if he has a decent playoff but doesn't win the national title, right? Like that's a Nick Saban, that's a Vrabel, that's a Dan Lanning, that's like that kind of company, right? If he gets bounced, it's like, okay, well, this guy, like he's clearly not gonna, if he gets bounced in round 1, has a flat performance, it's like, okay, go hire the Georgia DC, go promote Heartline. Like we just need a change if he's not going to be able to recover from that loss.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm reserving a little bit of judgment. But trust me, I am like very, like, I've probably backed away from it the past couple of days, just knowing the reality of the situation of like, there's so much that goes into getting rid of him at this point in his contract and all the things. So it's not an easy conversation, that's for sure. And I honestly, it honestly switches by the hour sometimes. Sometimes I'm like, all right, this guy's going to go win us a natty. And sometimes I'm like, I don't know why we haven't fired him already. So
yeah, I've seen a lot of like comparisons of, look, like we've seen Ohio State in a similar situation, lose to Michigan and then go put up by far the best offensive performance that the Buckeyes have seen over the last 4 seasons against Georgia. Obviously came up short in that off of a missed field goal, which we did not talk about. But like we've seen a Ryan Day led team bounce back. There is one big missing factor from that is Justin Fields isn't walking out onto that field, and Will Howard, I think the confidence in him today compared to Saturday at 11:59 a.m. is drastically different from a fan perspective. Now, I don't think anybody inside, the four walls in that locker room are maybe in the same boat. I think there's still a lot of confidence in Will Howard, but the reason I say that is like you knew that Justin Fields was capable of just going out and winning a game offensively, regardless of what happened on the defensive side of the ball. Like that was the kind of firepower he brought to the offense. And we just haven't seen that from Will Howard yet. It's been much more of a game management. He's had incredibly clutch drives. Like, don't get me wrong. The drive against Penn State after the pick six, the score at the end of the half against Michigan, like he shows signs of it. It just hasn't been a consistent, like, I wish I could tell Will Howard every single drive there's 1:51 left on the clock and we need 7. Like that's genuinely what I wish I could tell Chip Kelly, Ryan Day, and Will Howard. Like, treat this you've got 3 Corvettes sitting in the garage. You've got 2 incredibly nice Harleys sitting in the garage. Like, let them ride.
Yeah.
Unleash them, play fast, play loose. Like, I think everything seems so stiff on Saturday and just slow. And if that is the way that we walk into the college football playoffs, we will get annihilated. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
For sure.
Especially if you find yourself up against an SEC team who had to scratch and claw to get in, like a Tennessee or an Alabama, depending on where they fall. There's going to be some teams ready to knock some heads and prove they belong there, and we better be one of them, or it's going to be an embarrassment for us, for Ryan Day, and I think we'll have that tough conversation if that's the case. I don't see a scenario where Ryan Day isn't the head coach next year, regardless, as much as fans might like it and really want it.
I think I agree because of the logistics of it, but you don't think that if they get bound, like I'm saying, like they come out flat in round 1, home game or away, I don't care what it is. Round 1, you get your second lease on life again. You still have one of your 3 goals ahead of you. You still have proven yourself in different ways. All that being said, you don't think that they... I think that they have to. I think that it's worth... It would suck. Next year would be terrible. We'd lose Jeremiah Smith. We'd lose Sayin. We'd lose Downs. We'd lose all the guys. It would be a hard reset. But I think that you have to. If he can't beat the team 4 years in a row, this is the best roster that he's ever had. I just don't know how you can... rally the troops to support the NIL efforts and all of that.
Yeah.
If they come out flat in that. Now, I think if they win that game, he's the coach. I just think you can't come out and lose that game. I think that's like the one non-negotiable.
Yeah, I don't know. I just I'm struggling to see a world where they completely pull the plug regardless, from the buyout implications to what it does to your ability to go spend NIL. Like, I'm struggling to see it I would want it. I want that clear. I would want it.
For sure.
I don't think there would be many fans in Buckeye Nation that wouldn't want it. But I think the biggest thing is and you said it, is like, it has to be the right fit. There has to be the right person willing to step into it, because you're talking about firing a coach that has an incredible record, that has done by any other coaching standards across the country. Most people would be very happy outside of maybe 2 or 3 programs. So you're talking about a very small pool of people that would be willing to step into that role. And I know we talked about Vrabel. Vrabel's been pretty pretty set that he doesn't really want to coach college, because he doesn't want to go through the recruiting and deal with NIL. So it's like that's why I struggle to see it happening this year. But we'll see. We will see. We will find out later tonight kind of what the likelihood of the Buckeyes getting to host a playoff game will look like. We'll see how damning this loss will be in the eyes of the College Football Playoff Committee. Obviously, it's a stinger, losing to a 500 team or slightly over a 500 team at home. And I think the rivalry aspect probably plays a deeper meaning to the committee as well. So we'll see. We'll see. I think there's a better likelihood that we host a playoff game than not. I think Oregon takes care of Penn State, and I think they're going to not punish Penn State too much, but I think they would be hard-pressed to put them above a Ohio State. I think just because of the head-to-head, I think they'd be hard-pressed to put IU above an Ohio State because of the head-to-head. And then you're looking at, a handful of other teams that might be able to slip into that spot to take away a first round bye or first round home game from us. Looking at who is out there right now, potential matchups that we may be looking at. Who do you feel the most confident that Ohio State could walk in and leave round one with a win? Is there a team that you're like, I kind of hope we get matched up with them?
I think it's easy to say IU at home, right? Because nothing has changed. Sure, they'll have weeks to prepare on, hey, maybe how can we better prepare for the blitz and protections for Rourke so he can actually throw the ball. But I think that the talent gap is big enough for them to be able to, it's going to take a lot of game planning. And you just have the guys and what's out there. I mean, again, rematches are always difficult, but I think Tennessee, especially if it's a road game in that environment, I feel terrible about that. But yeah, I mean they're going to have there's going to be a smaller talent gap. So I truly think it's IU. Clearly I guess we'll see how things kind of shake out, but the less likely matchups, I don't think you're going to pull a SMU, Clemson, Boise, right? ASU. I guess I've seen one. I think I saw one bracket that had an ASU, so I would like that one as well. I think
currently where I'm at is I think it's 3 teams, maybe 4 that we could see. Penn State, IU, Georgia, or Tennessee.
Where would we see Penn's, you think, if they lost bad?
I think if they get smacked, and it would have to be a pretty bad loss.
Yeah.
But I think if they get whooped up on, I could see a world where we end up having to play them as the 6 seed or the 7 seed. Georgia is an interesting one because I don't know how the committee is going to view them if they get beat by Texas.
Yeah.
And they're a 3-loss team. Like, how damning is that loss to them? So I don't know. Like, I'm.
I mean, here's the thing, man. You take this damn game out of, like, and it's hard because it happened, but it's like you take that game out of the picture. It's like, dude, put us against anybody. I don't care. I'm maybe only concerned about Oregon. Like, put us against anybody. It's like, God, what happened? Why are we here? Like, how in the world are we? We are so damn. We have all the freaking weapons. We have the freaking developed defensive coordinator that has kind of, been in his bag for the most, latter half of the season. Like, you have freaking Caleb Downs and Jeremiah Smith. Like, you should go toe to toe with anybody. And it's just the pure incompetence
the thing that
on the play calling.
The thing that pisses me off more than anything is, like, we could go out there with that same god-awful game plan, same exact game plan, and you play that game 10 times, I still think we win 8 or 9 of them.
Yeah.
We were close to winning with the worst game plan I've seen offensively in my life. Like,
yeah, I mean, you're 1 field goal away from an overtime opportunity, and you're 2 field goals away from winning the game, and you missed them.
2 field goals inside the 40-yard line, like,
dude,
inside 40 yards. Chip shot field goals.
So we haven't talked about the kicker enough. This is like there's only so much change that can happen, right? Day's gonna stay. We've pretty much settled on that. Like, there's a rare opportunity that he doesn't stay. And the one thing I won't count out, and I don't know how you turn down $37 million or whatever's left on his contract, but I guess there could be a mutual, like, resign from the opportunity, because here's the thing. I stand by this statement. I think Ryan Day wins a national championship. I don't know if it's Ohio State that he wins it with, because I think he's a damn good coach. I think he's a damn good recruiter. He is almost the perfect person for this new world of college football, where you have to be this, CEO. He wears that hat so well. Like, he would be a CEO in business, in the business world immediately, right? And so for him, it's like, I can do all of this and it's never going to be good enough. Like, let me take my talents to an SEC school, an ACC school, whatever it is. Somebody that's, I can go run the SEC would be a little more difficult, clearly, but go run the table for a decent brand, still make my $10 million a year, and still put my team in the opportunity, right? Or opportunities to win the national championship. But the one thing that absolutely has to change is that you have to go get a damn kicker, because you have now lost a national title, essentially, because you didn't have a kicker. Now there's other things, right, that contributed to that kick being where it was at. You lost an opportunity to beat Oregon on the road because your kicker didn't have a big enough leg. If you have Michigan's kicker, you don't even run Will Howard on that play. You just line up and kick the damn field goal.
Yeah. Oh, I trust me.
And then you lose this. You've lost all of these freaking opportunities because you're afraid to go get a kicker, I guess. I don't know. Like, you can get Jeremiah Smith and Caleb Downs, but you can't get a freaking kicker. Like, what are we doing?
It's not just like the kicking side of things pisses me off. Like, not being able to have a guy that you feel comfortable 48 yards in. I'm not even asking them to hit 54 yarders, but like 48 and in. You're the biggest brand in college football. You can't get somebody to come in and want to help that team win. That's unbelievable to me. This is now also back-to-back years where special teams has killed us.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about a 37-yard punt to give them the ball inside the 50, where they kick a field goal to go up 10-3. Just inexcusable. In that same half, you have a guy flip the entire field, kick it from there, a punter kick it from their 10-yard line and pin us inside the 10. It's like we're getting beat every year, and there's like this common denominator of like special teams is not putting us in a position to be successful on either side of the ball. So it's frustrating that piece. We thought Parker Fleming was a big part of that issue. We talked about it earlier in the year. Like, does Ryan Day stepping into like the CEO role give him more of an opportunity to be more involved in the special teams? Like, if there's one thing Urban Meyer did phenomenal, it was that special teams were always very, very tight and seemed like they produced well. We just have not had that under Ryan Day. And it's an issue now that like there's a theme. And like you said, it's cost us a chance to go to a national championship, a chance to knock the number one team in the country off, on the road. And now it's cost us the game in a year that you had to win that.
Yeah.
It was a must win. It's funny to even be talking about the fact that it's a loss, but like you had to win that game. It's insane.
Yeah, I mean that's the, or I would say the most unorganized podcast right now. But there's just so many thoughts. But that's, I mean, you keep Ryan Day. I think you've done a lot. You handed over play calling. I don't know how that's the best version of it, but okay. You hand over play calling. You got to fire the offensive line coach unless he somehow pulls David Sanders in the next 24 hours. And so you got to fire the offensive line coach. You got to get that figured out. The special teams, you just have to pour every freaking ounce of effort and extra NIL dollars into that.
If there isn't a bunch of videos this offseason from like Bleacher Report of, look at this kicker Ohio State just spent $2 million on that's kicking 60-yarders, I'm going to freak out. It's like, but yeah. Nevertheless, the Buckeyes now get a week to think about this, and then about 2 weeks to prepare for a matchup that they. So let's see. College football playoff show will be Sunday.
Yeah.
Is it Sunday or Monday?
It's Sunday. Yep, they do it. I think at noon. I think they try to get them out before NFL kicks off.
Yeah. So Sunday we'll know who we're playing. I would assume this is going to be a lot of. This week is going to be a lot of rest, recovery, and come to Jesus talks from Ryan Day to his staff to everything.
I hope they hired like therapists for this week.
I got to go. My boss is calling, so I'm going to dip out of here. You can wrap it up.
I'll wrap it up.
All right.
Okay.
Appreciate it. See ya.
Yep, we'll see you. All right, so it's just me. We'll remove this guy from it. But yeah, so the college football playoffs, all the rankings will be out this week. So we'll have an idea of what's going on there, and we'll be able to, basically this week it's kind of pure preparation for what's going on. I got not a whole lot of preparation. It's just kind of pure like, hey, we need to recover from this, whatever it is, mentally, physically. The next week you have 2 weeks of game planning for Tennessee or whoever it is. And that tonight we will figure out where Ohio State ranks. It'll significantly set us, or at least point us in the direction of where we're going to be for next week, right? Because there's a lot of teams that aren't playing this weekend, and we're one of those. So how we rank compared to those tonight will determine most likely if we have a home game or not. Because a lot of the other matchups probably don't impact the home game ability or not. So, and then from there we'll be back. We have recruiting early signing day tomorrow, so we'll discuss that. We'll discuss the matchup, and then that'll be it. So thank you everybody for listening, tuning in, and we will see you guys on the next episode.